what's important for men to understand is that women's emotions are very different than his. Like, women experience emotions in a much different way.
We're in the depths of
exactly,
this deep emotion,
exactly.
and you bringing levity feels like you're trying to escape or avoid.
Yeah.
And that can hit a wound for some of us.
While the sexual energy piece can clarify all the rest, what often has to happen first is everything else.
Welcome to today's episode of Universal Intimacy. I am joined by Allan McGrath Isbell, a secret intimacy mentor and transformational coach for individuals as well as couples. Allan really excels at communicating to couples the importance of the dance and artistry of sacred polarity, the masculine and feminine frequencies alive within us all. He helps bring humans back into their heart and what is really at the foundation of healthy relationships with self and in partnerships, which is communication, trust, and devotion. Allan is also the founder of 13 Pines, a sacred masculine container and men's work group, and he leads immersive retreats of polarity and intimacy here in Boulder, Colorado. I am so thrilled to be sitting with Allan today because I am just coming out of one of these exquisite immersive containers. So the feelings and the emotions are raw and high as we are in real time integrating this really beautiful and exquisite experience. Thank you for being with me today,
Thank
Allan.
you so much for having me.
Yeah.
That was probably the best bio intro I've ever received.
Oh.
So thank you so much. I feel seen.
Yeah. I'm aware that my heart is racing and beating really fast. And as we are both, embodied somatic practitioners, I just always feel called to presence what's alive in me, what's real in this moment, and breathe into that. And I feel really grateful for you and what you're bringing to humanity and this planet at this time. And I would love to start actually with the men's work is what's feeling alive in my heart right now, because as a male-bodied individual who has been doing this work for over a decade, it takes a lot of courage and bravery to be a practitioner in this field of love and intimacy. So yeah, tell us about the men's work and that as an anchor point and why that's so important right now for this planet.
Well, I'll start by saying, driving home from the retreat, I was speaking with one of the members of my team, and we were talking about how challenging it must be to be a woman right now, and just the complexities of, there's so many badass, high-achieving, super beautiful, soulful women out there. Like, you're just like, there's so many of them.
Yeah.
And we're talking about how they must feel in their relationships with men, because we know men and we also know these women and we know the challenges that they experience. And we were just saying, like, particularly those who, get to the age where they want to have kids, and how it's so easy to, so for so many of them to start to kind of settle for certain things, and just how painful that must be. And we were going like, wow, I don't really know the answer. And then it kind of just struck me like, well, the answer is to just train good men. That's kind of the only thing we got. Like, and so that's not exactly the reason why I started out doing this. But that's kind of where I'm at with it now, is I want to create, not necessarily an army, but more or less like as many good men as I possibly can. And the fact is that men did not get a handbook on what it means to be a man. And what they did get was a bunch of conditioning that's actually not very useful or healthy. And so for me, it's been so helpful in my life to receive guidance from good men. I'm so grateful for those men in my life that have been that for me, mentors and brothers and friends. And so I really just feel, I don't really know why, but I feel so called, and it feels important to me to pass on what I continue to get and what I've gotten from good men in my life. And more men seem to want it, which is so beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. I love this phrase, good men, which is very different than, good guys, right? Because there's this, especially sort of in that masculine feminine dynamic, like we don't want sort of like the good boys or the good guys, but this concept of like what it actually means to be a good embodied man. And yeah, if you can speak into that, because I think, where I'm coming from as well, and I don't know if you know this, but I have 3 sons, is understanding that, one of the challenges we face in modern day society is the lack of initiatory rights, right? If boys don't have the effective modeling and mentorship from their direct father or caretaker, if they're not a part of sports or some type of team or camaraderie driven environment, like how do they get initiated into manhood and this concept of like what it really means to be a good man, right?
Yeah.
Because like you said, there is no playbook because the old playbook is dead, right?
Yeah. No, I'm a product of that generation that I mean, it's been a number of generations now that haven't received real initiation. And that's why I got into this work. I was like around 20, and I just had this sense that I should have received some kind of initiation into manhood. Like if I lived in a different time and place, I would have.
Yeah.
And I felt the lack of that. I felt the pain of that for some reason. And so I sought it out. I sought it out around 21, 22. And that's where I found my first mentor, who I spent the next 6 years learning with, absorbing from, and receiving proper initiation from men it's truly the only answer to creating good men.
Yeah.
Women receive natural initiations. Men need to receive psychological ones. And if we don't get that, we end up in a society which we're in right now, which is a bunch of men in their 50s acting like they're 15. And so I totally agree with you. It's a big part of what we do.
Yeah, tell us about the psychological initiation, because I think normally when someone's hearing initiatory rites, they're thinking warrior, right, or vision quest, or like, okay, you go off and do this really hard thing, and it's like a physical initiation. So what is the psychological and the emotional side of it?
Well, those pieces are important, and they we, as far as the men's work that I do with 13 Pines, we will soon be starting to enter into that world of the nature-based initiations, and we incorporate things because me and the 2 men that I run it with, we've all been initiated in certain ways that involve sort of that flavor of things. But you could receive those things and then still have a totally unhealthy relationship to your emotions or to your sexuality or to how you approach relationship. It does do things, I think, nature-based rites and initiations, they do fundamentally alter our psychology, which is like to me, it's like our soul, right? It's not literally is what psyche is. Psyche means is your soul. So I do think it fundamentally shifts something in a man. But then there's the biggest part of an initiation is there's 3 ways to think, or 3 steps to it classically. There's the threshold, the time before you cross. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the second one. The first is severance. It's like the time before you go. It's the preparation. It's the moment before you cross the threshold. The threshold would be the second one. It's the actual experience itself, the initiation itself. And the third is incorporation. It's how do you incorporate what you got from that experience into your life? And that, I think, is where we spend a lot of our time and effort and focus in 13 Pines, is like helping men to understand what it would look like to live as a mature, initiated man, and giving them the skills, the information, the practices that they can do in their life. And then in our retreats, taking them into, experiences like we did this weekend, but just for men, so that, that are poignant for the issues and the wounds that only men truly know.
And what are some of those wounds?
Oh, I mean, a big one is loneliness. Like, most men think that they're the only ones carrying the burden that they're carrying. And so even just the simple step of being in a room with, 30, 40, 50 other guys, and you start to recognize in the first few moments of like, oh, wow, this guy's just like me. That guy's just like me, where this, for years I thought I was alone in my suffering. And so that's a big one. Just guys recognizing that they're not alone.
Yeah.
They actually, and that's a big part of why I created 13 Pines. It came to me as a vision on my own sort of vision quest, that I wanted to create something for guys to recognize that they weren't alone in their life, that they could have a brotherhood that had their back, that could support them in living the life they wanted to live. So loneliness is a big part. Shame is huge, which supports loneliness. Like those really go together. A big piece of suffering is just misunderstanding women and the feminine.
Yeah.
And feeling confused and rejected and misunderstood, and also misunderstanding. And there's so much pain that men carry around women and the feminine. And so that's a big piece, is like addressing the pain that they've experienced in relationship, or in relating to women and the feminine, and then learning how to actually do it in a good way.
That's what I feel is really exquisite of what you're bringing to this work. Is it's not just that classic initiatory rite of becoming a man for your business or for the planet, or to be a steward of the earth. It's really about how do you educate men about how to be in right relations with the feminine. And part of that probably is healing their relationship with their mothers, their exes, with the earth, right? First and foremost, and then creating a new blueprint of how to relate to the embodied feminine.
Yeah, I mean, the way I see it, and it sounds like the way you see it, is like all things are the feminine, and particularly the intimate relationships you have, that men have with women, is a microcosm of the feminine. And when they start to learn some principles and some dynamics that are occurring, it's really quite freeing for them to recognize, like, oh, this is what's going on. Like I said, nobody ever gave them a book. Right. Nobody ever gave them, like, here's how you relate to the world, relate to women, relate to yourself.
Well, let's sort of weave in polarity here, because I think this is where it's starting to become super complex, is because even what you opened with and naming, like, the classic definition of what it means to be a woman has really evolved and expanded.
Totally.
And the feminine is demanding so much of men in general, and specifically their partners. So it's like you can't take that archaic viewpoint of what it means to be a woman in terms of a wife or a homemaker, or, and now there's even this shift back in terms of women wanting to be more feminine in those traditional roles, and yet they're still taking on the archetypes of being the boss babe and the queen and the entrepreneur. So it's super complex.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. We're in an interesting time. I mean, we spent as a society, it was very clear at a certain point in time, like the 40s, 50s housewife and macho guy. Like, it was pretty clear what roles we were in. And then for good reason, we shifted on both sides. Like men started to get more in touch with their feelings and the flow of the feminine, and women started to get more in touch with the power they have, the sovereignty they have, the ability to give their gift to the world in a purposeful way. And now we're at a point in time where we're like, okay, yes, I can do all those things, but man, is it really messing up my relationship and how we feel about each other, and why are we roommates, and why don't we really feel attracted to each other, and how did we get there? And nobody gave any of us that book.
Yeah. So tell us, what is polarity? I know you and I know what it is, but for your average listener and watcher today, like polarity 101.
Yeah. So polarity is, well, let's just say that if, just to back up a little bit,
Sure.
The first sort of archetype that I named of like the 50s housewife and macho guy, that was like the man was in his masculine. And we could talk about what all that means, but I think people would just know, like, yeah, it's a sort of a masculine quality to that. And the woman was really in her feminine. It's a feminine quality. It's a caring for the home and for kids, and there's a nurturing quality to that. It's very obvious. But for good reason, because they were so limited and in some ways codependent, I feel. We grew. Men started to grow in their feminine, and women started to grow in their masculine in the ways that I just described. Now we have a lot of masculine women and feminine men. And polarity is the play of those two dynamics, right? We all have them inside of us. And polarity is the thing that occurs when one of us is animating the qualities of one pole, so to speak, and the other is animating the qualities of the other pole. And that's a natural thing. Like, you don't have to really try to create that. Like, you walk into a grocery store as a radiant woman, a masculine man is going to zoop, like, oh, there's the feminine meeting the masculine meeting the feminine. It's just
hold the door open for me.
Exactly.
I love that. Yeah.
So that would be a way, like him holding the door would be a way of him like embodying that polarity, like making it last more than just a natural zing of energy. Him holding the door is like the actual, like movement through time, right? Because the polarity could occur in a second, just like through the look of an eye.
Yeah.
But then he chooses to hold the door open, and now he's created structure for you to flow through, is one way to say it, right? So now it's like magnified. It's like not just this zing of energy that's supernatural, it's this act that's now extended and enjoyed and received by both parties. There's more. There's more of it, right? There's more tension to it, and most men, let's say like 70-80% of men, feel most at home in what we would call their masculine, and you really would want to create polarity. Most of the time it's to create a sort of a sexual dynamic that is nourishing for both people.
Right.
And you can create it in all kinds of ways in your relationship that help support that. But just to speak sexually, so what that would mean is that for most men, most of the time, they would rather guide the experience than be guided. Mm-hmm. And so because we've created a bunch of feminine men and masculine women, we've created these dynamics and relationships where a man would like to be in his natural masculine energy, he doesn't know how to be, because he's learned, he's been conditioned really to cut off a lot of the qualities that would actually allow him to be there. And same thing for women. They've learned all these qualities that are really useful in certain areas of their life that are not useful for that particular area of their life.
Right. There's so much here. As you know, I'm also a sex and intimacy coach. And so I'm kind of pausing or pinning going into erotic energy, because once we start going there, we may just stay there. And I think, one thing I just want to name is that, we are talking in a heteronormative way, and it's natural to connect these energies, masculine, feminine, yang, yin, Shiva, Shakti, with our gender and our genitalia, but we're not necessarily, and both you and I have esoteric trainings that we know that we're not specifically saying that if you are in a male body with a penis, you are masculine. You have both. So I just wanted to name that
thank you.
first and foremost. And then also this, how the polarity sort of ruptures or conflicts, then it does show up erotically, but I guess I want to start more with like every day in terms of communication and conflict, and the example of holding the door open. I mean, it's like, where is whoever's in that masculine pole creating the structure so that whoever's in the feminine pole can be in their flow state and be in their creativity, and how it is like this infinity loop, because it's not to say that just because you're a man, you're always in your masculine, and because I'm a woman, I'm always in my feminine. Like, we're always shifting. So I know there's a lot there as well.
Yeah, I know. Totally.
But let's pause before we go into the erotic.
Yeah. It's just it's so obvious there, and it's also the place that people, you can really, like, if you can clarify that part of your relationship, in some ways, all the other stuff doesn't matter as much.
Well, I agree with you. We can go there.
We'll put that out there and then we'll go back. Okay. Just to say that, like, once that's really clarified, like, because as you're saying, it's not that a man has to be masculine and a woman has to be feminine because they are those genders. It's not that at all. It's really just to notice, like, okay, what is the nutrient, the pole, the energy that's most nourishing to me and to us and to our dynamic, and how do we learn how to create that?
Yeah.
And usually one person will feel more at home in one of those poles and how we experience them.
Right. Yeah, and I do agree that if couples, in particular, those that are in partnership, union, marriage, relationship, dyadic, relational contracts, can work on their sex life and their erotic energy exchange, it can resolve a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
But I do want to start with some of the more somatic attunement and some of the heart work, because I feel that you're so exquisite at that. And what I experienced in the immersion this weekend, where, just to be really clear, this was not an erotic container, right? I mean, of course, it's not rooted in exploration of what people would think of in terms of sexual energy. And this is what I find so fascinating. When people see the word intimacy, the mind naturally goes there. And we know that what's at the heart of it is communication. And can we get onto that same page of understanding where I'm at, where you're at, what's alive in our hearts and our bodies and our nervous systems, and then responding from there. And so, I guess, how does the polarity work start when you're looking at the thread of communication?
Yeah, you're totally spot on. Like, while the sexual energy piece can clarify all the rest, what often has to happen first is everything else. Like the emotional intimacy, the just like safety, trust, a sense of connection, sameness. To me, like, before you create polarity, which is a bit about, you're making magic or art with duality, like you're choosing a difference, which is very, has all kinds of consequences and beauty and all of that, but it has to start, to me, on a level of sameness and respect. And that, to me, is what intimacy is. It's a kind of a oneness of awareness. It's a oneness that we share, that you could share with all beings. It's like I was saying this weekend, the light in their eyes is the same as the light in yours. And to really start there is so important. And when it comes to emotions, well, first, I think what's important for men to understand is that women's emotions are very different than his. Like women experience emotions in a much different way. It's important for women to know that as well.
Yeah. We are volatile as fuck, is what I like to say. Like we are going through it all at any given moment, all the time, in every which way. And
you are feeling beings. Like you walk into a space and you feel all of it. Whereas men are more like linear. We are not circular, and that's good. Like we don't need to be circular. You guys got that covered. You know? And so creating, learning how to hold emotional intimacy is so important, because to me that's where physical intimacy, sexual intimacy really starts. Is in the heart, right? The state of emotional connection or heart connection that you have with that person. And to me, the three tools that men have at their disposal at any point in time is their posture, their breath, and their attention or their awareness. Always.
Beautiful. Let's talk about those. Yeah.
So let's say, like, look how excited she is. Just imagining. I'm
going to get masculine in my posture now. I'm going to sit straight up with an erect spine. I'm like, okay, I'm embodying the masculine pole now.
Yeah. So the masculine pole is about stillness. It's about because it touches. I mean, again, sometimes it's hard to talk about these things in a 90-minute thing, because there's so much complexity, and like you give all the nuances in the world, but I'm just going to go for it. So
do it.
So the masculine, like, it is consciousness. And, like, think about a monk. Monks are oriented towards consciousness. Like, they want to feel awareness. And when you think about a monk, what do you think of?
Yeah, stillness, and I'm like closing my eyes and going inward. So yeah, like this stillness and inner awareness.
Right. You don't think of them at like an ecstatic dance. Right?
Yeah.
They're like, and even you just
thinking about all the men at ecstatic dance right now.
I know. Men also have their feminine side, which is beautiful. Yeah. It's beautiful. But if and these are all foundational pieces. Like once, it's kind of like knowing music theory. Once you know the theory, you can start to break the rules, right? That's the beauty of jazz, right? Like they know the theory, they know all the things, and they get to make art. So this is more like music theory 101. Just to be clear, this is not like, now you stay this way for the rest of your life kind of thing. You got to have the basics. And so let's say let's just, for example, say you were my partner, and you came in with some emotional thing.
Yeah.
If I were to start to move around like I was at ecstatic dance, like even just your face right now, like anxiety comes in. Like there's an inherent lack of, in any moment we
say like, I get the ick.
Yeah, exactly. Because why? It's like you don't feel
safe.
Exactly. You don't feel safe.
Yeah.
And so it's really important to recognize for men to understand that safety is communicated through presence, and presence is communicated through those things that I just mentioned, your posture, your breath, and your attention. So if my posture is all over the place, or I'm slumped over, or I'm not looking at you, or I'm in an ecstatic dance mode,
you're on your phone.
Or on my phone, which is like all three of those things: bad posture, no breath, and your awareness is somewhere else. You are not going to create the space that will feel safe and trustable for her to reveal, for her to open her emotions to you. And what she'll often do is she'll get really intensely emotional over time.
Yeah.
Right? That's the dynamic that I see occur so often, because women want to be felt.
You mentioned this in the retreat of sometimes the intensity of the emotional expression, which even could come out as aggression, aka a fight, is simply wanting attention, or not wanting attention like a child, but just wanting that intensity, because the feminine craves that level of engagement. And I guess I'll speak to my own human experiences. Often when I'm acting out, I'm doing so, whether it's intentional or subconscious, to call you as the man into deeper presence.
Yes, exactly.
Are you present?
Exactly. Which to some guys will sound, I can hear them already being like, oh my God, that sounds like so much work.
It is.
And it is, but it's also, this is where I take a really big stand, is like, it is a lot of work because it takes training, but it's also who they are at their core.
Yeah.
Like, at their core, they are present, sensitive, attuned beings. They just have been doing all this stuff that's overrid that.
Yeah.
Just been practicing something else because they thought it was going to make them successful, or women would like them, or people would like them, or for all kinds of reasons. And so it does take work, it takes effort, but it's also who they are at their core. That's the way it feels to me, and I've seen it relate with many, many men now, that once they start to recognize, like, oh, this is actually a very deep expression of who I am at my core, it becomes this path of like liberation. I mean, I got into this work mostly because when at 15 I found meditation, and it was this beautiful feeling of like, oh wow, I found this thing that could like liberate me from my suffering. Yeah. And then I found this path of deep, we could say tantric embodied relationship work.
Yeah.
And I saw like, oh, this is the same thing, just with two bodies.
Yeah.
Rather than one.
This is the dance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it is a lot of work. It does take training, but it is when you recognize that, like, oh, I could actually be my deepest, most relaxed self while she's bringing her emotions. And me doing that might actually support her in moving through what she's bringing to me in this moment. It becomes not this burden that I have to do, or this posture I have to take. It's like, oh, actually, this is an invitation for my deepest self to be expressed through two bodies.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so beautiful, because what's coming up within me is this awareness that you're just here to awaken the sacred remembrance, right? It's just that many men have forgotten this, have forgotten that posture, that breath, that presence, even with the eye contact, which we're maintaining now. That is, like you said, it's so natural. It's just everything else in our society has conditioned all of us, not just men, to not have those things: presence, attunement, focus on who you're with, and how you're holding your body, and how you're breathing. You know, we've gotten so out of our bodies by being a culture and society that's so focused on the development of the mind. And so it's like getting people to feel back into their body and like really connect in that heart space is something that you do so well. Yeah.
Well, it's practice. I've just been practicing at it for a good amount of time now. And I've also, most men relate to the world from this head or that head.
Yeah.
Right? And so they miss all
He's pointing down, everyone who's just listening to the audio. It's like, this head or this head?
And so what's a big part of what we do, and the way I like to see it in the men's work world, is we're helping men to kind of get free in all of this stuff. We store, all of our, when you think about like your grief or your rage or your shame, like it doesn't live in your elbow. It doesn't live in your shoulder. Like it lives in this part of you, this center part of your body.
Yeah.
And it's, for the men's work piece, like that's a big part of what we're doing, is like helping men get free from the shame in their heart, the anger in their belly, the stuff that we've kept in that keeps us from being able to relate. Because when you relate with somebody, you're using your whole body, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And most people don't like it because they're not comfortable.
Well, yeah, let's talk about the unprocessed emotions that are stored in these two energy centers. So in the belly, what I'm hearing is anger, and in the heart, what I'm hearing is grief. So like those are two really hard emotions for men to express. So maybe if you can illuminate us about how can men process their anger in I'll call it healthy ways or
Yeah.
embodied ways, because I think most men have been conditioned now in modern day society to really repress that emotion because they don't want to be labeled as being violent or aggressive. This goes back to what you were saying earlier about like there's a lot of good guys out there now that are more in their feminine, and they're not, and I connect it with their inability to process anger.
Yeah. Yeah, it's their lower half of their body. So like the nice guys or the good guys that we were speaking to earlier, are the guys who are more oriented towards the feminine, so to speak. To me, they live from like their heart up, and sometimes not even their heart. You know, these are just kind of like a masked heart, because they, as you said, they haven't gotten right. They haven't felt the deeper things in them. Their rage, their anger, their real power. Their power lives in this part of their body, their solar plexus. Their real sexual desire, like the part of their sexual desire that's good, that's theirs, it's their own, that is actually very human. Like all those things have to be felt through. They have to be seen. They have to be experienced in safe and healthy ways. And that's just not the case for most guys. And so how they would do that, I mean, how I've done that is by being around other good men who have given me the opportunity to do that. So
give you the permission to release it.
Exactly. Going to retreats, being with mentors who like taught us how to do those things, how to release them in healthy ways. It's very hard to do these things on your own.
Right.
Particularly
And what's coming up naturally within me is the importance of the co-ed settings, which is, you know, what we just did and what I like to cultivate and bring to the world as well. Yes, the men's work is important. Yes, the women's work is important. But we also need these co-ed spaces and places where we can witness each other in these sacred expressions, right? I mean, what's coming to mind in what we just went through, if you're open to me sharing at the very end, you know, when we're playing with different archetypes and the polarity and really embodying the warrior and like channeling the wrath or the anger from the belly into the heart. And yeah, like the capacity to witness the other, maybe the other gender in this situation, move that energy through the body and move the anger into the heart in a way that I'm closing my eyes, because to me it's very sacred, right? To understand that anger and wrath is sacred and holy and needs to be honored and channeled in some way, right? And so it's beautiful. It's beautiful to witness men in their primal and their primal fuck even, you know? And I'm hoping, and I would love to hear from you as well, that it's beautiful for men to also witness women in their anger and their wrath and their rage.
Yeah.
To normalize it maybe, or not be afraid of it. But I'm curious how that lands for you.
Well, again, that's where the training of like posture, breath, awareness is so valuable, so that they don't get reactive. They don't try and suppress. They don't try and change. And what's also required is for them to be good with their own rage, their own, because that's so often what we do is we have not gotten right with our own sexuality. Like for men, I'm gonna speak for men, we haven't gotten right with our own sexuality, our own emotions. And so we're in relationships with beings who are highly sexual, highly emotional, highly energetic. And we just do to them what we do to ourselves, which is like close, suppress, close down, shut down. And so I think it's really valuable for men to do men's work first, so they can go and get right with themselves and get right kind of with the father, like with other men. That's what we get to do in those worlds, is like father each other, initiate each other, only men can initiate men, right? And women can initiate them in different ways, in relational ways, but there's a certain thing that a man has to receive from another man about who he is, like to kind of really say like, okay, I am a man now. I feel that in me. I'm free in that. And once that's there, then he can see his partner and he can remain stable in himself. He can, like, what I found is that what we really want is just truth. We want truth. You want her truth. And if she's connected to it, whether it's she's raging or she's laughing or she's ecstatic, like it doesn't matter. because it's true.
Yeah, well, okay, this is a really exquisite point that you're speaking into right now, because you're speaking into the range and the capacity to be able to hold the totality of the emotional expression within the self and within the other. And this is the piece that, you know, as someone who's also an intimacy coach, it's like important to understand that if you can't hold her in her rage and her wrath, how can you hold her in her multiple orgasms, right? And that's what women and embodied women nowadays are demanding of their masculine partners, is like, you have to be able to hold me when I'm a puddle on the floor, and when I'm laughing hysterically, and when I'm orgasming, and when I'm yelling at you and saying fuck you to your face, or whatever we do, you know? It's like, it's a lot.
Oh yeah, it is a lot, which is why it's so important for men to get right with themselves. Like, you have to have a nervous system capacity that is not blocked and repressed and shut down, so that you can be with, because eventually when you follow this enough, you start to recognize, like, oh, all of that is just energy. So you're just expressing it like this in this moment, and like fuck you to your face in this moment. And if you can recognize, like, oh, that's just energy, and underneath all of it, she wants to be felt. She wants to be seen. She wants to be heard. Those are like the deepest, to be loved. That's the deepest desire underneath all the energy the feminine expresses. And when men have gotten right with themselves, they can learn to, with some skills, again, some training. Oh, I have to actually sit up straight when I'm with her. I have to face her. I have to relax my body, my face, my eyes. The whole front of your body is the best way to do it. I have to, or no, I'm gonna stop saying have to. I say I get to. I get to breathe fully. If my breath is full, that transmits a relaxation, a safety. Rather, if I'm holding my breath, that tells her nervous system subconsciously, like, not safe.
Not safe.
Not safe. Breath communicates safety. And I can look at her. I can see underneath the rage or the anger or the sadness or whatever it is, and I can show her that I'm seeing her. When you do that, you recognize, oh, the feminine is just expressing in this way in this moment, and it's going to change. She's raging right now, and then she's laughing her ass off. And it's all just this ongoing circle of energy. And rather than trying to change it or make it different or repress it, men can start to learn how to dance with it in a way that is aligned with their deepest self, their deepest expression of who they really, really are.
Yeah. This is so beautiful. And I'm feeling this awareness that I have to, like, we're so deep into this that sometimes I'm trying to relate this to, you know, humans that are just on dating apps. And there's so much, like, what we represent is kind of countercultured and niche. And I think we forget it sometimes because we're in the bubble of it. And I'm thinking about right now some expressions that are very common in the collective, which is like red flags, for example, right? Or like, okay, she's a red flag because she didn't text me back, or she texted me back and it was like 20 different texts, and it was, you know, kind of coming from a trauma response. You know, there's all these things, and the red flag one is coming up when you and I were just talking about the totality of the feminine and her volatile energy. And I think, like, what would you say to humans that are like, no way? Like, if a woman said fuck you in my face, like, I would walk away because I deserve better. Or maybe, what would you say to someone who, like, wait, you're telling me now that I should put up with aggression and violence and anger, you know?
Yep, 100%. So context for all this is so important. Like, I'm not speaking to, or rather, I'll say that what I'm speaking to is a committed, trusted, healthy relationship, right? It was like, we have to start on that foundation of sameness, respect, equality, like healthy dynamics. Those things have to be there. And then you can play at these sort of greater spiritual ideals. And so if on your first date with a woman, she's, says fuck you to your face and like leaves, like, yes, that is an expression of the feminine, but is that the context that you like, are you going to be a yes for eternity to that? Probably not. Probably
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
going to be like,
yeah.
okay, this
Right.
is actually not how I want to spend my evening. And you don't have the context of 20 years of trust and safety and, history to support you to take the deeper dive of, okay, how am I going to respond to this in a way that opens me, or that is loving, is true.
Yeah.
So context is really
Yeah, I
important.
hear it. And if you're open to me countering
Sure.
ever so slightly, because I think for humans that are in that space of dating and relating, calling in partnership or like wanting a relationship, I think there's so much out there that is telling them like create the list and the person has to be your perfect match in all these categories. And if one little wobbliness occurs, you walk away because you deserve better. There's so much emphasis put on
Totally.
this work of the sovereign self and knowing who you are and what your worthiness and worth is. And I think for me and what I'm seeing in some of the individuals that I'm coaching that are wanting to be in a relationship and struggling, this is a piece that's at the core of it, is like this feeling of they're always going to find that there's something wrong with in a heteronormative way that this member of the opposite sex, and then they're going to just walk away because they're claiming their worth and worthiness.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, like, what you would
Yeah.
say to that,
Yeah,
someone
yeah.
struggling with that in the dating world.
Yeah. I mean, again, context is so important because in one dynamic, it might be totally true that like, that is actually disrespectful and it's true for you to make some choice where, you end the relationship or whatever. And in another context, it's like, no, actually, this is a big opportunity for you to grow, to not do the thing that you always do, which is just like, oh no, that's the one flaw there's that flaw I've been looking for. And then, the grass is going to be greener on the other side. So context is, relationships there are generalities, but they're all unique. They all have their own unique flavor and signature to them and complexities. But what I would say generally is that I totally agree. There's so many people out there who are, I mean, to me, it's a, Carl Jung called it like the puer aeternus, or the puer aeterna. It's like the part of us that's always looking for perfection and we never find it. And because there is no perfection. And I mean, in some ways it's all perfect, but in its perfection, it is imperfect. And so we find one imperfection and we go, oh, well, then this person's clearly not perfect. I, as an individual who am definitely perfect, I'm going to find somebody who is.
Right.
And that is an endless cycle. And so see these people like relate.
Well, especially when it's like one swipe away, right?
Exactly. Oh yeah, our culture is like just egging this on in every moment. It's like there's definitely something better out there. You go on Instagram and there's millions of people that you see that look perfect.
Right.
Well, this person's definitely not that. I can see that very clearly. There must be something better out there. There definitely is. And so having proper understanding of that like everybody is going to have flaws. And the way I see it is like, are you going to be a yes to their flaws? Everyone's going to have flaws.
Yeah.
Every person that you meet, if you are that person who's been looking for, the greener grass countless times, you've been in relationship after relationship, you start to recognize like, oh, actually everybody is kind of fucked up in their own beautiful way. A good relationship or a relationship is one where you say like, you're fucked up, I'm fucked up. Let's figure out how we love through that. Let's actually use, and that's what I think relationship is really about, is using the relationship to grow through those, I say fucked up, but it's our wounds, it's our pain. It's not really our fault per se. So using the relationship to heal, grow, witness, transform, like both ourselves and each other. And eventually you just got to say like, all right, I'm a yes. I'm a yes to your neuroticism. I'm a yes to your quirks. I'm a yes to your emotions. I'm a yes to you. And then seeing it through to the best of your ability.
Beautiful. Let's talk about your relationship. Yeah.
Lovely.
I really want to honor Ashay and the beautiful sacred union that you're in. Yeah. Tell us what's alive in you within that. There's so much I could say, but I'm like, let's go into your juicy dynamic and how you have chosen her and she has chosen you. And that's something that I really want to honor and express a deep reverence for, because our world needs more embodied blueprints of this type of divine union. So, I mean, what does this expression even mean to you? Like, I'm saying divine union and sacred union, and I'm just curious, what that means to you. And
it's so funny. I'm also just so regular. Like, I don't think about us as like, I'm not like, oh, yay, I'm in a divine union, you know. To me, we're just regular humans who love, you know, who love to the best of our ability. And I also, it's a part of my design that I can't see myself that accurately. Like when I go home from these retreats, I'm not like, I don't hold myself as like, oh, the guy who's holding the retreats. I'm just like, I'm just a regular guy again once I'm out of the room.
wow.
And so I don't really notice that.
Wow.
Oh, wow. I mean, I do notice when I'm around other people. I start to, I talk to people a lot about their relationships.
Sure.
And they remind me very often through what they say, like, oh, wow, we've got it pretty amazingly. Like, we are, you know, we've definitely had to overcome our struggles, but I think we do what I just said, which is like, you know, you've got your wounds, I've got mine. Let's find how we love each other through them, and let's actually use that process as a way to transform ourselves. And right now we're in my teacher always used to say that you're either in the fire or you're in the garden. And right now we're in the garden.
Yes, you're in the garden. I love it.
Yeah. And we definitely have had our moments of fire. And now the way that we relate, like the fire occurs, but it's not this, you know, uncontained bonfire that is, you know, lasting days and days. And now it's these, you know, brief moments, and then we're back in the garden. And that to me, I mean, I don't know if we'll ever not be that. I don't think we'll ever find the eternal garden in relationship.
No, not with polarity, right?
Not with polarity.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, first, I just want to honor you for being so humble, because you're saying that you see yourself as just like a normal person in a normal relationship. And the truth is that, you know, you both are embodiment guides and coaches, right? Coaching men. She's coaching women, you're coaching couples, you know, it's not to pedestal you. However, you know, it is something that when I'm saying the world needs more of, it's this awareness that, you know, Ashay as this embodied woman who's really shown other women that you can be in right relationship to your body and your sensuality and your sexuality as a woman and make millions of dollars doing that. You know, I mean, I found her one photo. Can I share with you?
Please.
She had a photo on Instagram. This was probably in like 2018, 2019. In her office, you know, there was like this beautiful white, you know, her artistic way of like fusing boho with modern luxurious aesthetic. And she was fully naked and, you know, made this claim of like, I get paid to do this, right? Like, and it was this permission slip to so many women to say, like, I can be in this full expression and vulnerability. And just to be clear for my listeners, you know, Ashay coaches women, right? So she's in her full embodiment and connection with her sensuality and sexuality to inspire other women to be that. She's not coaching men. So yeah, she really has paved the way as a 7-figure empowerment and embodiment coach for so many women, just like you've paved the way for so many men. And so now like that you're together, it's like you're a power couple, you know? So I'm honoring that in you. And I think it's really beautiful for you to presence the humanness of that, to say that, yeah, you're always going to be in the fire and the garden, and that it sounds like maybe what I'm intuiting is like because of the practices that you have, because of the tools and techniques, you can get through those fires very quickly in real time, and so that they don't. Yeah, and I know this in my own partnership. It's like the fires occur, but we don't have like day-long fights or week-long. There's no like silent treatment. It's like something comes up, we presence it, we move through it, we move beyond it, right? And I think that's part of the work of conscious relating, right? And it's important for people to hear that and normalize that. Like you guys fight too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. As much as she likes.
Yeah. So tell us, like, how do you fight? Or not like what do you fight about, but like how do you navigate conflict?
We're honest to the best of our ability. We take responsibility to the best of our ability, as quickly as we can to the best of our ability, and then we. I think we're both very willing to remember love underneath conflict, and if we do forget it, come back to it. Because, you know that moment in a fight where like all of a sudden you just recognize like, wow, like what are we even fighting about? Like, I love you. Yeah. I love you.
Yeah.
Or you have some moment of connection where you talk about the silly color of the cup or something, and all of a sudden it's like you're back. Like you feel the connection that you know is what you share.
Yeah.
We're both very committed and just oriented towards remembering that.
Yeah.
And that has fights not last very long.
Right.
And we don't really have like a thing that we fight about.
Sure.
We don't really do that. We have like things that might come up.
Sure.
And then we deal with those things, and they're, they might, they might have all kinds of things. But we're both very sensitive to what it feels like to be connected and what it feels like to not be connected.
Yeah, that attunement is key. And what I'm feeling into is, there's something in the sound of the language when it's almost like when you're in the fight. I'm putting like air quotes around it because whatever, it's a discussion usually, and there's like a different cadence or intonation. It's almost like you're listening to the person and you're like, this doesn't even sound like you, right? Or you're like, what, like you're like, who are you and what is this? And it's like you're playing out different archetypes maybe for a little bit, but you're like, you're not my beloved. And then what I'm hearing you say, it just takes one of you to call the other back into love, back into. And how do you do that? Like, is it an embodiment practice, like breathing together? Is it words? Like, what? How do you call the other back into your heart?
Yeah. Well, I'll just let you into our dynamic. She is way more feminine than I am, in case you hadn't noticed.
Yeah.
So she is usually the one who's feeling something, and her feelings make me aware of something that I usually wasn't aware of before.
Yeah.
And so,
we have a tendency to do that.
Yeah,
we're just here to make you aware of something.
And again, I'm just so drawn to the spirituality of all of this, and that's what I believe we're doing. That's what the feminine does. It's the unconscious. It's the stuff of life that makes, like. The whole point of being alive is to make the unconscious conscious, to like merge them, to have them find oneness again. And that's to me what the feminine does.
Yeah,
it makes the masculine aware. Yeah. And when we become aware and we accept what they're bringing us, we can be more integrated.
Yeah.
Not so like in our own lane in the dark around things that we weren't aware of before. Mm-hmm. So she makes me aware a lot. And when that happens, I put into practice all these things that I'm talking about, if as best as I can, right? Like I will become aware of my posture. I'll become aware of my breath. I'll start to see if I can breathe for her or with her, like start to sync up my breath with her. I will, it may also like, oftentimes I don't remember that till a little while in, like my instincts will kick in and I'll defend myself or I'll like deny or what, and the lag time on those things has cut down dramatically as a result of all these things that I'm speaking to. So, but and I'm human, so and I'm a dude, so she brings emotions and pretty much instantly I'm like, oh no, something's wrong.
Right.
Let me fix it. Let me change it. Let me try and assuage the situation to make it the way that I'm comfortable with.
Yeah.
And I am usually pretty good at catching those things, sometimes better than others. But when I do, I'll bring in those pieces that I named. And really, emotions live in the body. So at least my approach, like I couldn't speak for her to what she does, but what I do is like try and bring our bodies into connection again in some way that, like breath, a softness to the body, which is radical.
Even touch.
Yeah,
right?
touch.
Like,
yeah. 100%.
Yeah, I think there's actually a funny
Pressure.
meme occurring on Instagram right now where couples are having a fight by like being in close proximity.
really close
yeah, like,
to
and they
their-
can't.
yeah,
they
they can't do
laugh.
it. Yeah,
so like the
100%.
minute that we actually come together
Yes.
and touch, yeah, I think it can dissipate a lot of the
So much.
dissonance.
So much. Yeah, 'cause when you fight, usually you want to leave, or you want to shut down, you want to hide away, you want to turn away, right? Think about like the couple in bed and one turning their back to the other. It's the opposite of intimacy.
Right.
And so
that's creating that barrier. And you name defensive. I get that way too. It's like I've realized, or I'm able to name, like if I'm putting up the wall or I'm getting defensive, it's because I'm protecting something that's important to me. And to just be able to bring awareness to that and name it can help us move through things. Something that you do really well that I'm aware of is bringing levity. And if you can speak into that in terms of, whether it's humor, or I'm just thinking about the sacred theater we did and how yummy that was. Of just sometimes people like hear us talking about and it's like, it sounds so serious. We got to be consciously communicating and say, I'm aware of my inner child. But it's like I
am laughing my ass off most of the day.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. That's such a sweet gift.
Yeah. To me, I mean, it just, it's actually one of the greatest gifts that men can learn to incorporate into their relationship, because if you can bring levity to something, it means that you're not as reactive to it or collapsed by it, right? So if you, again, we haven't talked too much about this, but what women really want to feel is that they can bring something to you and you can, it's like you're bigger than it. You can hold it, you can receive it and wrap yourself around it, so to speak. Like you wrap yourself around her, whatever she's bringing, without trying to change it, but just like not be collapsed by it or reactive to it. And so if you are humorous, to be humorous, you have to be uncollapsed. You have to be present. You have to be bigger than the situation, so to speak, to be able to see what's funny or what there is to be delighted by in the moment. And that's a real skill.
It is a skill.
And very useful. Very, very useful because
I'm feeling into this. I love how you said like find a way to be delighted by it, because there's an art to that. Because sometimes, just speaking as a woman, when men bring humor or what they're perceiving to be levity, it does not land well with us. Like y'all think you're making a really funny comment or even like a dad joke thing, and we're like, what? We're like, we are not on the same wavelength, and it just falls flat.
Yeah, so it's thank you for clarifying this. I'm not talking about making a dad joke. those will definitely fall flat, especially in times of conflict or times of emotionality or sincerity or, where it's like it should really be held with reverence. But to me, reverence is also, there's lightness to it. And so the kind of humor I'm talking about is one that is all these things that we're talking about. It's like, it's present, it's attuned to where she's at. Like it's literally in the present moment. It's like, it's sensational. It's, there's a tactileness to it, right? Like,
yeah, it's so artistic. I'm like, can you teach a course on this, Allan? Like attuned creative humor to dissipate conflict, right? It's like, it's such an art form.
Well, and again, it's the feminine changes. And so this is why it's so important for men to remember that. It's like, we think that she's angry now, so she'll always be angry. And so you start to recognize like, oh, she can respond to what I bring. If I bring humor and lightness to a moment that's attuned, that's not a dad joke, that's not like me escaping to, because so much humor is an escape.
Yes. Thank you for naming it, because it feels that way a lot to me.
100%. And that's a really great way for men to escape, is by making something funny or making it light.
Yeah.
And
we're like, we're in the depths of this deep emotion,
exactly.
and you bringing levity feels like you're trying to escape or avoid.
Yeah.
And that can hit a wound for some of us.
So
me, I'll just name me. It can hit a wound of like, wait, I am moving through this really pithy energy, and you're like cracking a joke, right?
It's demeaning in a way. It's like you don't see me clearly. You're not feeling what I'm clearly feeling. Yeah. So the humor that I'm speaking to is one that's really present with what they're feeling, and delivered in a way that opens everybody to delight for a moment. And then it's just like, bam, we're back in connection, love, attunement. Yeah. And it provides everyone with what they really want. Like, we all want to be in love, in connection, in like good, safe, clean, beautiful energy with our partners. And so men learning how to use the deep skill of humor and lightness and levity is so valuable.
So valuable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, so often our fights will end in just total laughter. Just like, I can't tell you how many times we're just beautiful. Like, and okay, a couple things on humor. It has to be spontaneous. Okay. It can't be this prefabricated thing. Just for the men listening, they're like, okay, great, I'm going to try and be funny later.
Right.
It really has, because it has to be based in the present moment. It has to be spontaneous. It has to be something that's from the present moment, because that's where her feelings are, in the present moment. And if you try and bring some strategy around, okay, I'm going to try and crack a joke when she's, upset tomorrow or the next time, it won't go that well. It won't. Yeah. It won't. Yeah.
I know. This is a tough one. That's why I'm like, please create a course on this. This is it's a tough one, and it's like such a beautiful skill when executed effectively. Yeah. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the physical intimacy piece as well, because that's another way, right? As we both were naming, that we like to use to like move out of conflict or bring ourselves into attunement with our partners. And I know it's something I coach my couples, and I'm sure you do as well. So yeah, like, what are sort of the physical intimacy ways that you can create more harmonious cohesions and relationships?
Well, again, to me, physical intimacy starts with more of the energetics or the like the non-physical things. So things like your awareness or your eye contact. Your eyes are showing people where they're a function of your attention, of your awareness. So if you're looking at your partner now, you're attending to them, you're paying attention to them, and it feels, usually it'll feel very vulnerable for people who are not used to it, because now they're actually being seen. So, I mean, for 99% of the couples out there, if they were actually to look into each other's eyes for more than 2 seconds, one of them would start crying eventually
Yeah,
because
right.
it'd
We
be,
see this all the time. Yeah, it's wild. Yeah.
so that's the first piece, is like that kind of intimacy is like, it is a form of physical intimacy. It's like my eyes are looking at your eyes. And then the next piece would be to use your breath to create a kind of connection. So, man, this is something that you can start to practice out there, if you're listening or watching, to start to just become aware of your partner's breathing, or your, whoever if you're with your intimate partner, whoever they are, like when they're breathing, just notice, like, okay, are they breathing in? Are they breathing out? Are they breathing in? Are they breathing out? Are they holding their breath? If you're in a fight, they're probably holding their breath. And so what you can start to do is use your own breath to either just match up with theirs. So if she's inhaling, you can just kind of inhale with her. As she's exhaling, you exhale with her. And if you wanted to create polarity, sameness, like just emotional connection, you would inhale at the same amount. Like she's inhaling, you're inhaling, she's exhaling, you're exhaling. To create polarity, you would just inhale a little bit longer than she was, and exhale a little bit longer than she was. And it's just that you would create a very delicious sense of, for her, it's like he's opening me. He's literally like, the feminine nerves, the female body especially, is very responsive and very, again, feeling oriented. So if you're just aware that she's breathing, she'll feel it, let alone like starting to match your breath with hers, or bring in a little bit more breath than hers. But those two pieces, they seem so simple, and they are simple, which is why we don't think about them. They're subtle.
Yeah.
But it's the subtle that is the foundation of all the other stuff, in my opinion.
Yeah, thank you for that. Something I'm aware of, even as you're saying it, is a lot of times as a woman, I have a tendency when I feel a lack of his presence or attunement, I'll go into the head and I'll say like, babe, what are you thinking? Or like, hey, babe, what are you feeling? When you feel like that distance. And I think what I'm really saying, or what you're making me aware of now, is like, I just want to feel your breath.
Yeah.
Like, breathe with me, or I don't know like how I would say it, but it's just something that is just coming to me now of like, I'm not really wanting to know what's on your mind or on your heart. I actually just want to be able to feel your breath so that I can relax and my nervous system can like reset or whatever it is, right? I just want to feel your breath. Yeah.
Again, breath it's deeper than thought or feeling.
Right.
It's more, it's the first thing we do when we're born. It's the last thing we do when we die. It's so essential to us. And yet we sit around our partners for decades holding our breath and not engaging in what's deeper. Again, because it's vulnerable, because there's all this stuff in us that we haven't processed, and for many, many reasons.
And I want to share that it's a foundation for good sex.
Yes.
Like, this is something, again, if you're open to me sharing my own experience this weekend of just, it's not that we did breath work per se, but there was breath work incorporated in this training or this immersive. And I noticed going back at night with my partner and making love, and when we were really attuned to like the belly to belly breathing and just the breath, right? Like, not focusing on anything else, not focusing on what his cock was doing or what my pussy was doing or what our hands were doing or even our eyes. And we were just focused on the breath. Oh my God. I'm like, Allan! I was like, oh, it was like so good.
Yeah.
So yummy. Like, yes.
Yeah.
Epic sex.
Right?
Yes.
Deeper than all that other stuff that you could do with your hands, or that you could wear, or that, like, all that stuff is fun and adds textures. But if it's missing this more essential nature of, that's really simple, breath, presence, which could come through your eyes.
Yeah,
or
eye contact too is always beautiful.
It's good, but once you know what that feeling is, particularly if you're aware of breath, the eyes can close and you can just like feel each other's
Yeah.
presence through your bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was such a beautiful ritual, though, for me, as someone who, like, in theory knows all this, but I was like, tonight I'm just going to focus on my breath.
Yeah.
Usually I'm not really thinking
Right,
anything.
right,
I'm just
right.
in my receptivity and feeling body. But I was like, I'm actually going to, like, focus on just the breath. It was amazing. It was like cheat codes.
Yes, it is.
I'm like cheat codes.
Yes, it becomes...
to sex. Like, guys think it's about how hard their cock is, or women may think it's about how wet their pussy is, or like you said, the toys or the lingerie or the tips and the tricks, we like to say. And it can be as simple as, the breath.
Well, it always is. And then those other things become expressions of that. So a lot of times this weekend you might have heard me say, like, don't do anything without breath. Like when we were going into some exercise, or
Sure.
like move with your breath, feel with your breath, or like if you're going to stand up, do it with breath. If you're going to reach out, do it from your breath, because your breath is your life force. And it's true. It's like, it's spontaneous, it's attuned. And especially when you have that sort of practice of attuning it to the person that you're with, the way it occurs to me is that if you're there, whatever you do from that place is good. Like it's true.
It's
what,
true.
It's
That's
what,
it's true. It's truth. Yeah.
It's what you want. It's what they want. And because breath is very slow as well, like you'll notice, oh, I reached my hand out like this, and I could see her face change in a way that felt like she didn't want that. Okay, well then I'll come back and then feel what else wants to happen. Like it keeps you so much more connected to a deeper place, a truer place, that sex starts to take on this magical unfolding rather than this like strategic tips and tricks. I'm going to do this thing and then they're going to feel this way. And then...
Yeah, because without it, we could be potentially putting ourselves into some dangerous or disastrous scenarios. I'm thinking of like DS dynamics, which not to say that this is what the focus of your work is, but it can come through in polarity and understanding the dominant and submissive role. And if the dominant isn't attuned to the submissive, and when she's shutting down or holding her breath, I'm thinking of the demo that, it's like, it's like a micro moment of an awareness, like, oh, not that, a little too much there. Okay.
Yeah.
Back into the breath, reassess, because if you're acting without attunement, that's where problems can occur.
100%, which is how most sex occurs. It's just this unattuned, unconscious fulfilling of or a fulfilling of needs that is not really that deep.
Yeah. I'm just feeling in my heart and into this is the wounding of the feminine, kind of to loop us back to, I know we opened with the masculine, and like the wounding of the feminine, especially when it comes to this spaces surrounding sex and intimacy, is that lack of attunement and presence when men are in what I call the taking energy, or y'all named it sort of that extracting energy, where it feels like they're doing something to her, but not actually caring about her, not attuned to her experience. And we as women get really hurt emotionally and physically in that.
Yeah, for years. I mean, like it's incredibly damaging. It's passed down from generation to generation to generation because mostly because those men are wounded and they've never learned how to actually feel what they're feeling, and so how could they ever feel what she's feeling? But these skills, like being with your breath, they're like these magic shortcuts, as you shared, that help create a place where it's inherent. Like attunement is inherent. It's a part of the experience already. And even if you're not in a dom-sub dynamic, Dom sub dynamic is just a sort of masculine feminine dynamic put to an extreme, right? If you're in the feminine, you're at risk. You're revealing yourself. You're surrendering a part of you to somebody or something, and that's terrifying. It's incredibly vulnerable.
Yeah.
And so anytime a woman is having sex, like, she's choosing to do that. And that's it's like, I actually love doing polarity practices where men are put into the feminine.
Oh, yeah.
So they get to experience, like,
They have to learn how to
they have to,
receive
yeah.
and surrender. Receptivity is terrifying. And when you think of the simple dynamic of penetrating versus being penetrated.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, as a tantric practitioner who does sacred spot, I assert and contend that every man needs to be penetrated, to be
100%.
Initiated into what the feminine experience is, to release that fear and understand, like, that feeling, because it's terrifying and traumatic.
Yeah. Yeah.
When it's not handled with attunement and presence and
love. It can either be like the most beautiful reason to open beyond where she's ever opened or you've ever opened, or it could be the opposite, like the perfect reason to close and to disconnect and to
and this is the world that we're living in. I'm again starting to feel into this deep reverence to you for this work that you're doing, because you're handling a really complex field of people with a lot of trauma and a lot of repair and restoration that has to happen in their own nervous systems and somatic field and bodies in order to feel safe to open, right? To open the body and open the heart to give and receive love so purely and freely and be in their truth. So it's, deep bow to you, brother, for doing this work with men and with couples. And just share with us how folks can stay connected to you and continue to study with you and learn from you. Because I want to just give you this deep bow and expression of gratitude.
Thank you. Yeah. I just want to say it was so beautiful to have you and your man this weekend. It's so clear from moment one, practice one, that you two really live this. You really experience this in your intimacy. It was so beautiful to see, and I feel so grateful that I could add something that would make that even more magical. It's so beautiful to hear.
Thank you. I receive. It's work. As you know, it's work. We're devoted to the work.
Yeah, that's something that's important for people to know. Like, none of this stuff just happens. It takes, you could call it work. I like to call it training or practice, because work sounds not fun.
Like WERK. Work.
It takes training. You've got to unlearn a lot of stuff in your body and then relearn a few things that, again, are pretty simple. But when you do them sincerely in a good way, like, they have a pretty profound effect. So to answer your question, Instagram is a great place. Right now, my handle is Allan McGrath _, but I'll soon be changing it to Allan McGrath Isbell. And you can find me at allanmcgrathisbell.com. I've got 3 polarity and intimacy retreats next year. Plans, probably do another one. I'd really like to do an advanced one coming soon.
Level 2, And those are in Boulder, Colorado?
Yeah, those are in Boulder, Colorado. We'll have at least a couple men's retreats in Austin next year, probably a couple more. We're looking to potentially do one with father and son, to do an initiation retreat for sons and their fathers. And all that information you can find on my Instagram or my website. I work with couples, I work with individuals one-on-one who really want to take these things that we're talking about here today and apply them to their life, practice them, bring them to their love, to their intimacy. And
again, thank you so much, both for the work you do with individuals, but especially for couples. I truly feel like we're at a stage in the existence of humanity in this planet where, couples doing this work is there's something that's, I can't really articulate it, but there's a ripple there, and so it's beautiful that you are offering this to the collective and humanity. So thank you.
Thank you.